Pop, going on, man?
What's going on, son?
Hanging
Back
in
in
there, man.
LA, huh?
Hanging in. Yes, can't complain. Doing the Lord's work here with the Dom and Pop podcast. Just having an absolute blast here, guys. We are getting started. We've got a fun pod. Thank you all for tuning in. We've got a good topic today. Some good stuff to get to. So before we get started, just some housekeeping. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button. Almost 90% of our listeners are not subscribed. And if you're thinking, oh, why would I hit that subscribe button? What does it do for me? Well, first of all, it doesn't cost you anything, so why not? But second of all, we have got a jersey giveaway coming up. We're starting a new sub goal jersey giveaway for hitting the right number of subs. It'll be 2,000 subs. We're working hard for it. There will be details in next week's podcast for the giveaway. So hit that subscribe button now. If you're just seeing this, hit that subscribe button now so that next week you're up to date when those details come in. You can get your name first in on the list on the drawing. So,
Must be a subscriber to win the jersey.
of
And we have
course, of
ways
course,
of knowing.
of course. So, Pop, how are you, man? What's going on with you?
Doing great. Doing great. Sunday
Good.
afternoon, hanging with my boy, talking a little Commanders. How could it be better? It's
Doesn't get
hot,
much
blazing hot here in the DMV.
doesn't get much better, right? So,
Yeah,
today we are talking top 100 NFL. It's Pete Prisco's article via CBS Sports. They do this every year. And we're talking, where did the Commanders players rank? And then the NFL list will premiere, I guess. It'll be a couple days from when we're recording this.
today.
Today, when you're getting it. And we'll talk our top 10 Commanders for 2025 as well. So, getting right into it. And then don't forget, second half of the pod, we'll be predicting our wild card round for our brackets thus far.
Your boy
So
Pete Prisco's wild, man. He's a
yeah, it's
wild man.
some choices on here. So he's got number one. He's still got Pat Mahomes, which I don't know. Maybe he's a little controversial at this point in time. Some people have certain feelings about that. I'm never
I'm
mad
cool
at
with it.
it. I'm cool with it. They got him number one, and then the top five quarterbacks are Mahomes, Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow.
Top
And
four.
then our boy,
Yeah, our
Jay
boy.
Daniels at number five. That would be the first commander on the list. Now, you would figure top five quarterbacks would all be in the top 10, top 15, right? And four of those top five quarterbacks are. But Jaden Daniels, for some reason, he's got him all the way down to number 33.
Makes no sense.
Which I think is hideous because I think you can even make arguments about guys towards the bottom of this top five that you put Jaden up against. But he faced off against a couple of them directly, and he went bar for bar with Lamar. He beat Burrow at Burrow's home stadium and outperformed him in that game. He had like a 90 something completion percentage. But what's that worth to Pete Prisco? Clearly not that much. Pete Prisco with the all time backhanded compliment of Jaden Daniels in the description here. He said Daniels showed as a rookie that he has star potential and should be a top level quarterback for a long time. Okay, correct. I'm with you on all that. And then he says it's scary to think how good he can be once he learns how to really play the position. That's junk.
That's yeah. That he hasn't watched him play
It's
that
bad
much,
reporting.
obviously.
That's
Yeah.
total like, oh, there's this kid who plays quarterback and he can run, and he had a good rookie year, so that's what I'm going to write about him. It's total copy paste. It's lazy analysis.
I mean, if you hear it, you hear analysts after analysts after analysts talk about Jaden, and they talk about how well he plays the position. That's probably the most impressive thing about him, right? So maybe it was poorly written by Pete Prisco, but it's kind of crazy. I mean, I no issue with guys like Myles Garrett, Saquon Barkley, Justin Jefferson, in the top 10. But then you get down this top 10 a little bit. If you're starting a franchise, or if you had to pick a player, would you really pick Pat Surtain at number 9 over Jaden Daniels and his value to your team? A TJ Watt, a Lane Johnson offensive tackle. I mean, there's some craziness in here in terms of like players that are picked over him. I get that some of these guys might be the best at their position or one of the best at their position in the league, but him being at number 33 just seems wild.
Yeah, I mean, it just blows my mind, man. You can't the media just they want to have
Brock
their cake and eat
Bowers
it
is
too.
number 22.
Whatever. Whatever. It's a bunch of what it is, frankly, it's a bunch of dorks trying to convince each other they're smarter than one another by making these like hot takes and like, well, if you look at Brock Bowers' average depth of target, Brock Bowers that average depth of target. I don't care about that. It's Jaden Daniels. It's there's a clear, I mean, you're not taking CD Lamb over Jaden Daniels. You can't convince me CD Lamb is a better football player than Jaden Daniels.
Tyreek
I
Hill's
love
number
CD
30.
Lamb. What did he do last year? Tyreek Hill was useless last year. Tyreek Hill lost Pop the family fantasy football league
Absolutely.
last year. Completely screwed him.
Crushed
I mean,
me.
it's ridiculous. Like, I mean, some of this stuff is just insane to me. But like I said, it's lazy analysis
Where
in
would
my
Jaden be on
opinion.
your list if you
I mean,
looked at this
if I'm looking at this list,
group?
right?
Yeah.
You know,
Where
Mahomes,
where'd you
Garrett,
slide him
Barkley,
in there?
Allen, Jefferson, Lamar, Burrow, Chase. I'm cool with all that. I'd probably put him either at 8 ahead of Jamar Chase or at 9 right behind Jamar Chase, personally. Um, I think it's crazy. I mean, CJ Stroud was like number 20 on this list last year, and he was better than Stroud. Stroud didn't go beat the number 1 seed on the road. So I don't know what, like,
Good way to get clicks, I guess.
yeah, great way to get clicks. And look at us, suckers. But
Hey, he's giving us a hot topic to talk about, so
some fodder, I
we'll
guess,
take it.
right? So we'll finish up talking about Pete here in that Terry McLaurin ranks number 81 as his 12th wide receiver off the board, and Bobby Wagner at number 88. For these guys, I'm not as mad at that. I think like somewhere between like 8 and 12 for Terry is fair. I have him a little bit higher. I'm obviously a little bit of a homer, but I think across the board, I think that's an okay. That's not as egregious to me
T.
personally.
Higgins is rated number 70.
Yeah, then that's ridiculous. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure you can poke holes in it. And
Nico
Wagner,
Collins, number 67.
you want to make the age argument for Wagner. That's cool. But he's still
I think
playing at a
Bobby
top
Wagner being in
5
there is it
linebacker.
shows him a lot of respect, right? That he's still considered a top 100 player at his age. I don't have a major issue with that.
I don't
Maybe
either.
maybe
Aside,
as we get into our top 10, we could talk whether or not. I mean, should a Laramie Tunsil be a top 100 player?
oh, certainly.
Yeah.
But this guy had a Commanders fan break his heart in middle school or something. He hasn't recovered.
But but
Um,
but I'll say because I'm such a Terry mark, Terry being the 12th wide receiver on this list is ridiculous. That's disrespectful. I mean, I think we've got him at number 6 or 7 on our list. I mean, I think we did it. Yeah, we did a top 10 wide receiver list earlier this year in the pod. If you want to go check that out. Um, but anyway, everyone's entitled to their opinion, I guess. But that's absurd.
I can just all I can do is call scoreboard, which feels really good to be able to do at this point in my life. But frankly, any player that's not on the Philadelphia Eagles, I'll just call scoreboard on you. That's all I have to do. It's only one team that
Yeah.
got in our way last year. I'll call scoreboard on the rest of y'all.
So anyway,
Um,
we give Pete Prisco a little bit of free advertisement here. Go check out his list. We'd love to hear from you in the comments if you got thoughts about that. Um, NFL's got their list coming out, so that's always kind of a little bit of fun. What else you gonna do in June for
for
NFL
real.
season? Only 10 Sundays left before we got football.
Can't come fast enough, man.
Yeah.
Football in the fall cannot come fast enough. Just cannot come fast enough. It's at that point in the summer where you're like, all right, I've had it. Like we got the warm weather. Let it cool down a little bit. Let's get some football
Not
on the
quite there
TV.
yet, but getting there.
I mean, for me in Cali, the cool weather is like 65 degrees, so it's hard to
There you
it's
go.
hard to beat. But I understand on the East Coast, y'all like that, you know, 100 degrees and
I
90%
don't know about
humidity.
I don't know about like it.
Oof,
I
brutal.
can't walk from the backyard to the front yard without breaking a sweat, but
Oh my
I'll take it
gosh.
over the cold weather.
Oh my gosh. I hit a small bucket of balls and I had to take a shower after. It was horrible.
Yeah.
Anyways, getting into our top 10 here. So this is the next segment for us here. We're going to talk our top 10. So all due respect to Pete, this is a better.
Yeah, that's a little extra setup on this one, right? So we're going to pick our top 10 commanders who we think projecting into the 2025 season. However you want to, whatever criteria you want to use, Dominic, around, I think I'm kind of viewing it from like who I think is going to be the most important, most valuable players for us in 2025. Obviously, if they achieve their potential, right? Some of that is projection. So, but who do I think are going to be the most important, most impactful players for us come for the 2025 season? That's how I'm approaching it.
Awesome. So yeah, my approach is similar. I'm still weighing in a little bit, just like overall prowess and ability. So like for example, not to get too spoiler here, but Sam Cosmi makes an appearance on my list. He's obviously probably not going to play till October, November. Um, but Sam Cosmi, I think, is still a top 10 player on this team, even if he's coming back from an injury this year. So he's on my list. As a matter of fact, he's in my top five. So Pop says he wants to go 1 to 10. You want to go 1-1, 2-2, or you want us to each go down the list and then we react? How do you feel about it, Pop?
I guess
Producer
we could go. Let's
extraordinaire.
go 1-1-2-2. I like that.
Okay, cool.
I think
So
it's a little bit more interactive.
number one, do you want to hold hands with this one? Number one is Jaden Daniels. I think that's
Yeah,
pretty clear, right?
yeah,
That's pretty
no
easy.
question.
Cool. And
No
then number
question. Pete
two,
Prisco is not making this list.
no, no.
Yeah.
DNF for Pete
I mean,
Prisco.
we go as Jaden goes. There's no question about it. You know, we got to give him a little bit of love, or always love. But I mean, we're really looking forward to watching him in year two. It's gonna be a ton of fun.
Couldn't agree more. Number two, I think we're probably going to be in lockstep on this one too. I got Terry McLaurin.
I got Laramie Tunsil.
Oh,
Oh,
Pop
I just
being cold on Terry is interesting.
not cold on Terry. Terry's my number three.
Okay,
But
I
I
got
mean,
Tunzel at
Laramie, in
three.
terms
So
of like, if you really kind of think of where the guys are considered at their position, we just went through one man's opinion on Terry McLaurin, but I just think Laramie being, consensus top three left tackle being arguably the second most important position on the field. I just think that he's so important. And given a bit of it is the price we paid to get him, right? We went out and made a big trade for him, gave up some draft capital, valuable draft capital to get him. He's got to be. I think he's got to be slotted in that number two slot, and that's what we need to have the type of season that we're trying to achieve this year, trying to contend for a championship.
yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, I got him at number three, so our top threes are the same. I got Terry at number two just because I ultimately think his impact on the field for this team. Like, sure, does he rank among all wide receivers as high as Laramie Tunsil ranks across all left tackles? Probably not, but I think he's the most important guy on the field, not named Jaden Daniels for the Commanders.
I'm probably guilty of taking Terry for granted a little bit there, but I just know he's going to be there, and I just think we need an all-pro kind of season from Laramie Tunsil, right? I mean, if you were to, and I don't think it's going to happen, but if you were to say like Terry took a half a step back in his play versus Laramie Tunsil not getting to where we think he should be this year, I think Laramie Tunsil not being there hurts you so much more, right? In terms of, because there's other guys that can step in and generate offense for us. I got a question for you. Where's your Terry McLaurin panic meter? The fact that he's not yet signed to a contract. I think we got to make this part of a weekly segment until he's done. Yeah, I'm pretty close to zero at this point too, but it might amp up a little bit as we go.
I saw some idiot posted like Quentin Johnston and a second round pick for McLaurin. Guys, I'll do a little Tony Cash here.
Guys.
Yo, guys, find something better to do with your time. Please get a hobby. Start hitting the golf ball. Something. This ain't it. Whatever you're doing right now ain't it. Anyways, number 4. What do you got at number 4?
I think you're gonna like this one. I got Marshawn Lattimore. I got maybe it
Woo!
was Lou. Maybe Lou inspired me a little bit. But again, I kind of think of the similar to Laramie Tunsil. It's got importance to this team for next year, and the way this guy, again, if he achieves his potential, he's still in his 20s. He's super important, and I love what we saw in minicamp from him. So I got Marshawn Lattimore as my number 4.
He barely made my top 10. That's impressive. I like it. I got Bobby Wagner at number 4. I don't know how you got Marshawn Lattimore
Bobby's
ahead of
my
Bobby
number
Wagner.
5.
I
Bobby's
got
my
Bobby
number.
at number 4. I think when I said Terry McLaurin's probably the most important commander to have on the field, I had a moment where I said, it might be Bobby Wagner. From a
So
leadership perspective, he's the quarterback of the defense. That is the best signing Adam Peters made in his time as a commander. It is almost, I think, second to drafting Jaden Daniels. Bringing Bobby Wagner in was the best thing that Adam Peters has done for this franchise. So
Bobby can ball, but Bobby, I think you know, in terms of his where he is at with his age, right? He's obviously not as fast as he used to be, but what he gets out of it and how smart he is as a player is incredible. But you were not going to call Bobby Wagner amongst the elite best players at his position at this stage of his career.
I think it depends who you ask. I think
At
there's a lot of
35,
guys. I think there's a lot. Fletcher was the top 5 linebacker at 35. I think we keep it's driving me crazy with the Bobby Wagner dialogue that everybody this may be his last year if he wants to be done after this, and that's fine. He's earned it. But Hall of Fame players, people sleep on just how this guy is in the London Fletcher, Ray Lewis, the Hall of Fame conversation in terms of his all-time legacy. Those guys play for
no
longer
question.
because they
But
have
where
enough
is he?
years.
But where is he today? And
I
now
still think he's
he's a
performing at a
he's a
top 5 to
seven
top 8
he's a
linebacker
7-8
range.
out of 10 version of Bobby Wagner right now. It's incredible what he's able to get out of that. He brings incredible leadership. He's incredible in terms of I like the word incredible in terms of knowing where to be on the field and his preparation and maxing out every bit of juice he's got left in that body. And he's in my top 5. So, but I just think Marshawn has an opportunity to be elite if he can execute. So I know he hasn't proven that yet. So I'm definitely projecting with Marshawn.
I like it. It's fair. You got Wagner at 5, so I guess you're not too far off. I
No,
just the last
super
last
important to this team.
in my opinion, I think he's still operating in that top 5 linebacker in the league space at this
That's
point.
fair. I would agree with that.
So that puts him at
The
number 4
total
for me.
package. Yeah.
Maybe it's just the delta between David Mayo to Bobby Wagner that's inflating Bobby Wagner a little bit for me, but I'm used to I don't even want to get into it. Number 5 for me is Sam Cosmi. And this is where I said I think he's just an elite football player. I understand he's coming back from injury, but I think Cosmi comes back fully healthy with fresh legs just in time for the playoffs. That is going to upgrade this team at a massive,
See,
massive,
here's the
massive
thing.
level.
I didn't think Cosmi's year last year was number 5 worthy before he got injured. And that's the thing. Like, I definitely think I like Sam Cosmi. I think he's potentially a really, really good player. I know that he got a lot of hype because he got signed. I'm not sure he was having the greatest of years last year before that.
That's a
I think
hot
he's top.
take.
I think he's top 10 worthy. I'm didn't put him there because I'm just not sure where we're going to get from him. Who I think is the unsung hero makes this offensive line go is Tyler Badass, and he's my number 6.
I got him at number
So
6 too.
so yeah, Tyler Biadasz I think is my second offensive lineman on my top 10 list. I just think that he is, and imagine when he goes down, if we're thin in one area right now, it's at that center position. I would worry a lot more than maybe with the exception of Laramie Tunsil, if any other guy going down on that line. Him going down has a very big domino effect how that offensive line performs. We saw it last year when he went down. It had a big, big impact. So he might even deserve a little bit higher slot. Maybe I should slide Marshawn down or swap them out. Maybe you can make that argument, but I got to go Tyler Biadasz as you did as well.
That's a hot take on Sam Cosmi's year last year, Pop, but I'll let you have it. Number 7, I got Frankie Louvu. Who do you got at 7?
Same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
gotta be right.
Yeah.
Um, and some of this speaks to the depth on this roster or the fact that this roster is still kind of in year 2 of a rebuild. Once you start getting down past that top 3, 4, 5, you only have so many guys to choose from. Um, but Luvu, I think he had career high 8.5 sacks last year. Just a beast of a player. Had a couple picks. Brings that
Could be my
energy.
favorite to break that 10 mark this year.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a dog. I really like Frankie
He's
Luvu
someone I'm really
this
excited
year.
to see in year 2, right? Because I think undeniably the physical ability is there, but to a degree, it's still pretty raw.
Mhm.
He's still, because of circumstances in his career building up to this, and the fact that he was just trying to make a roster early in his career, and building up to where he is right now. I think year 2, where maybe the game slows down for him a little bit, but second year in this defense, and they try to utilize him a little bit differently. I think that I'm really excited to see what Frankie can do in year 2.
Yeah, I think he's a
What year
dog.
2 with the Commanders? Yeah.
I think he's a dog. I think he's going to have a hell of a year this year. I'm very excited for Frankie Luvu. At number 8, I've got Mike Samerstill.
I
What do
went
you got?
Mr. Debo Samuel at number 8. I think
Okay, he
Debo's.
didn't make mine.
Whoa! Talk about controversial. I think
He
Coach
didn't
got to
make
you a
mine.
little bit here.
I
Are you thinking he's hitting Dunkin' Donuts a little bit? You buying into the hype of the
no.
pictures of him, or what's going on? How can
I just
Debo not be in your top 10?
I just like these guys better, and it's too hard for me to project Debo and what he's gonna. The delta is too wide,
So
and
I
the
heard
other
a
guys that I have are more of a sure thing right
I
now.
heard a Debo stat. He has led the NFL in yak the last 5 years. So even though he's in the supposedly decline, right? Even last year, he was the best at it. So I think he's just going to add incredible value. I think he's motivated. Again, still, his age still starts with a 2. He's got plenty in the tank left, I believe. Um, you know, we could talk about these guys in May and what they look like. They're still 4 months before the season starts. They're going to amp up. They're going to get ready. I can't believe Debo didn't make your top 10.
It's the Debo thing. It's a little bit of like, and this is gonna go against my argument here, but it's a little bit of like an Occam's razor thing, where it's like you've got the guy who leads the NFL in yak in a very yak heavy offense. This should be a match made in heaven. This should be great. We should be talking about 1,400,
Who's a
1,500
more
yards
valuable
for
weapon if you
Debo.
take? I mean, you take out Jaden and Terry already. They're in your top 3, top 2. Who's the next most valuable weapon on this offense?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is my reasoning for not bringing Debo in is, like I said, I just think the delta's too wide, and I struggle to, like, I've seen these guys play in burgundy and gold, and that's why, like, spoiler, Lattimore's at 10 because I'm like, I think he can improve, but I do weigh in a little bit of what I've already seen in there. Debo, I just don't know. And I think we do this thing again in October. Debo might be number 4. But right now, it's just hard for me to confidently see Debo's going to have a bigger impact on this team than Mike Samerstill, who I think could be trending towards a Pro Bowl year.
So you got Mikey. I want to make sure and give Mikey his love. So you got Mikey at 8.
Yeah, I got Mikey at 8. Mikey's my favorite player on the defense by far. I absolutely love him. I always like the little guys as a smaller guy myself. And he's just a dog. Like he's everything you want. And it's just I got nothing but good things to say about that guy. I mean, he's only been playing cornerback, which I think cornerback is the hardest position to play in professional sports. He's only been playing cornerback for 3 years. This will be his 4th year playing corner, and he had to learn how to play outside corner on the job last year in his rookie year in the NFL because St. Juice and Forbes were so incompetent. That is not being talked about enough. This is a wide receiver that learned how to play outside cornerback and played it at a high enough level to supplant two veterans and be such a good improvement on that defense that they had to throw the other way before Lattimore came. Then and make different decisions. But he was great.
Do you think? Let me
Great.
ask you a question about Mikey. Do you think he's got the ability to be a number one corner in this league?
I don't think that. I think his skill set is such that he's mostly going to be a slot cornerback, which necessarily you don't when you think of number one corners, you don't think of slots. But I think his ceiling could be in the conversation for top five, top 10 cornerbacks overall in the league. Who's the kid in Kansas City that was a slot cornerback? Was a dog. I think is Sneed. I think he'd be something like that. I might have his name wrong, but I know do you see those elite slot guys pop up every once in a while as some of the best corners in the league, but they just play slot?
He's
I think
he's
that'll be
a
Mike's situation.
incredibly valuable member of your starting 11, no question
Yeah.
about it.
And
Yeah,
now you're moving him off of Jamar Chase and onto like Tyler Boyd, because you're going to have Amos and Sam
that's why
and
I have Marshawn Lattimore more valuable because he's
Lattimore
going to be
playing
the guy that's got to
outside.
slide in there and take those
Yeah.
guys, right? Yeah,
So I think Samerstill is just going to be once you start moving him into that slot and you've got him on some more forgiving matchups. I think he's going to just
could be
be
a big impact
a
player, no
dog,
doubt.
a dog. Number 9 for me. This is another one of my favorite guys on the defense. Number 9 is Quan Martin. Who you got at number 9, Pop?
You're not going to like it, but my number 9 is Deron Payne. Got to get a defensive
I
lineman
can't.
in there, and he's going to have to step up. I agree. He's going to have to play a lot better than he did last year. He's gotten a lot of love from the coaches in terms of how he's looked and the fact that he's ready to step up. We saw what he could do in his last contract year. It was one of the best years we've had at a defensive lineman here.
Period. Yeah.
So I got Deron Payne.
Yeah, I mean, Payne's year in that contract year was probably out of the all-time elite defensive line, generational defensive line that we had with Chase Young, Montez Sweat, John Allen, and Deron Payne way back in the Del Rio days. You know, shudder just talking about it. Payne's contract year was probably the best year any of them had. So he definitely has the potential. You guys know me. That guy broke my heart. I'll just be honest with you. He's one of my favorite players. I was really excited to see him get the contract and just did not
Who
perform
was your
up
number
to it.
9?
Number 9 is Quan Martin for me.
Yeah,
Big Quan
he's
Martin
definitely in my
guy.
honorable mentions for sure.
Um,
I gotta. The problem with Quan, and I know, of course, we contradict ourselves on this list, is just he's flashed, but because of the injury situation last year, it wasn't consistent. So I got to see more from Quan, but I think that he could definitely crack this top 10 if he's healthy and he has the type of year we think he might be set up to have.
See, here's my issue with the lack of consistency remark on Quan is that was it
It's
because he's
because of
playing?
injury. It was because of injury. I clarified that.
I heard you. I heard you.
Okay.
Let me give you my qualm before I get the retort here. Was it because of injury, or was it because he, as a safety, his job, aspetta, his job was to make up for the mistakes of Benjamin St. Just and Emmanuel Forbes and Michael Davis. As a safety, you play behind the corners in front of you, and the corners are supposed to do their job. And assignments and miscommunications happen, and you saw his play improve greatly when those idiots got off the field. So I think personally, and he got healthier. He's playing with two separated shoulders the whole season. Um, I personally think, although I don't know that that got any healthier given that he had to get surgery in the offseason, but I personally think Quan with actual competent cornerback play in front of him and another safety in the backfield who can cover because we didn't have one of those last year. Our safety was a nice big hitter and he came downhill at a million miles an hour, but he couldn't cover for squat. Um, I think will be. I think Quan Martin will be. a lot better this year than he was last year, and I already think last year he was very strong. I think he was very underrated. Number 10, I have Marshawn Lattimore. I've spoken to that a bunch throughout this top 10.
Yeah, I got Mikey Sandstrom. I think we've covered
Yeah, so we've
well
covered
enough to.
that.
So I think some honorable mentions without breaking down each guy. I think Zach Ertz to me is sniffing at the top 10.
Yeah,
Quan for sure. I think of Javon Kinlaw, right? I think he's a guy that continue to hear that you know people are really high on. So he could, when the season ends, we could consider him a top 10 player. I sure hope so.
I hope
And
so.
I think of
Based on what
Brian
we've seen him.
Robinson Jr. Maybe that's a bit hopeful, but we don't have a running back in there, so maybe he's at the tail end of that honorable mention list.
I ain't giving out Brian Robinson Jr. participation trophies on my top 10 list, but I respect it. Johnny Newton for me is a guy that I think could be
Yeah,
in this top 10
that's
at the
fair.
end of the year. I think I'd probably take him above Payne in terms of guys that I think will be in the top 10 at the end of the year. I think Newton, I think Lattimore can rise, and I think Debo, obviously, from guys that I didn't have in mind. But, anyways, moving on.
That's the wild one for me. No Debo and yours. That's
I
crazy.
guess I traded Quan for Debo, basically, because we had all the same guys otherwise. Moving on. We're
Well,
going to
you didn't
continue
have to
on.
run Payne in yours.
No, I didn't. That's right. How do we want to start this, Pop? What do you feel? Do you
Let me
want
just go
to?
through mine, and you can go through yours. How about that?
Okay, great.
All right. So I got the Eagles with the bye. They were my number one seed. Controversial for Dominic, but is what it is. I hope it's not true. So I got Packers as the number 7 seed going against the Rams at number 2. We gave the Rams a lot of love. Kind of surprised going back and seeing that. I'd take the Rams to win that game at home. I'm not overly impressed with the Packers, so I'll go chalk there. 49ers on the road against the Lions. As tempted as I would be to pick an upset there, I would go Lions there as well to advance. And then, of course, our Commanders at number 5 rematch. Commanders and Bucks versus Bucks. I think Commanders win that easier. Doesn't go down to the last play. Or was that game go to overtime?
Doink. Remember? How do you forget the doink?
The doink, but was that an overtime kick
That was to win the game in
to win the
regulation.
game? Final drive.
Yeah.
I remember the doink, but
You don't remember we got the ball with like 4.5 minutes left.
yeah.
Jerry went
Burned
into the
out the
huddle and he
last
said,
one.
"We're
Yeah.
not giving him that ball back." Burnt it out
I don't
beautifully,
know. It's
and
heat.
then
It's the heat. It's the
Zane
heat.
Gonzalez. The heat has been
I
heating
remember.
today. Pop needs a Pedialyte.
I need some Pedialyte. But yeah, I got Commanders winning easily against the Bucks this time around.
Yes. All right. So that brings me to me, where my picks were a little bit different, a little bit spicier. I got the Rams with the number 1 seed this year.
Well,
Watch out for that. If Stafford can stay upright, I stand by it. That's a big if. But Stafford stays healthy, I stand by it. Rams is the number 1 seed versus the Seahawks, number 7. Or no, Rams will get
no.
a bye, of course, as
Rams
the
get a
number one
bye.
seed.
Yeah.
The Seahawks number 7 versus the number 2 Commanders. Don't have to worry about that one. That'll be quick. Packers versus Lions. I take the Lions here as well. I think it will also be kind of one of these. And then Eagles versus Falcons. I have the Eagles as the number 5 seed. This is a very like the Eagles will win 11 or 12 games and be a 5 seed. We predicted the Commanders to win 13. I wanted to stay congruent with that. Um, Eagles number 5 seed versus the number 4 Falcons. I do have the Eagles winning this game as well, setting up for a divisional rematch of the NFC Championship game in the next round.
Well, we've
That's
both got that going. The only difference is that I've got the Commanders going to the Eagles in the divisional round. You've got the Eagles coming here, but we both had
exactly.
that as a divisional round game. So I guess I'd have Commanders at Eagles, and then I guess Lions would go to the Rams in the
Yep.
divisional round for me.
Solid. So my divisional round will be the same thing, exact same thing. So the number 3 Lions versus the number 1 Rams in LA, and the number 5 Eagles versus the number 2 Commanders in DC. That would be mine. So I think we have the same thing, but just the seeds flipped
Yep.
on the and I think when you really get down to it, these are inarguably the 4 best teams in the NFC. I think it's really going to come down to which one of these teams can stay the healthiest this year, and I think any one of them will win the Super Bowl, whichever one can stay the
I don't know
healthiest
about
and
it being
perform the
inarguably.
most
We got to
consistent.
see. We got to see this season play out. There's some other pretty decent teams in the mix there.
That cracked the Lions, Commanders, Eagles, Rams threshold. Do you think?
I think that NFC North. We got to see how that plays out. Like
Okay, that's fair.
Packers and Vikings are some pretty had pretty good years.
It could be
So
feisty. Yeah,
they could be feisty, depending
very
on
fair.
especially depending on quarterback play up in Minnesota.
Yeah, and a lot of turnover in Detroit too, right? I think we take for
Yeah,
granted how much Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson did for the Lions, and everybody expects the Lions to just be right back there. But are they still hanging 50-point blowouts without Ben Johnson calling the plays? Who's the heir apparent? Is he ready? Those are questions.
and you talked about the NFC's picking up steam, right, in terms of the quality of the teams in the NFC. So are you prepared to make a deep playoff run with Jared Goff as your quarterback?
Yeah, precisely,
Yeah,
precisely. So
we'll see.
that's what I'm really interested on the Lions. At this point, we're so late in the pod, I might as well take a little tangent. That's what I'm so interested in the Lions. Is I think Ben Johnson did such a good job of scheming around Goff and getting the most out of Goff. Are you able to? Is that sustainable? How much of that was actually Jared Goff versus Ben Johnson? Obviously, Jared Goff had to execute what was in front of him, but with a new offense, new language, things changing, things moving around, does Goff stay at that MVP caliber? I think it was absolutely ludicrous. He was considered in that argument ahead of
They
Jaden
got to
Daniels
ride
last year,
Jameer
but
Gibbs more
yeah,
so than they've been, right? They've got to get out of this dynamic duo type running back approach. Jameer Gibbs your number one. You've got to play him like that. He's got to be in the Saquon role this year.
yeah, and Montgomery
Not
is
that
as
not
good
that we're
as
going to turn this into a Lions podcast, but 35 minutes in, whatever we can do, whatever we
enjoy
want.
ourselves a little bit. Just yeah, I
Yeah,
100% agree with you. Anyways, let's wrap this thing up. What do you say, Pop?
let's wrap it.
Been a good time. Without further ado, I've been Dom.
This is Pop.
Thank you all for another great week, and hail to the Commanders.
Hell.